The most important thing here is to be realistic about your current situation, where you are right now with your money. And you don't have to be ashamed about where you're at. And one of the first steps to building long-lasting wealth, this video is brought to you by Wealthfront, and you'll hear more about them in just a bit.
I think you gotta have a dream.
The School of Greatness.
Really?
Yeah.
Please welcome Lewis Howes.
Hey guys, Lewis Howes here, and today I want to talk about building wealth. And this is really the 7 secrets to building long-term wealth. And there are some principles that I read about when I was broke, living on my sister's couch, that over the years really found them to be true. And so I want to talk about some of these principles that I learned, some that worked, some that didn't work, and how I've learned from some incredible mentors over the years to help me build wealth as well. And these principles today come from one of the most influential books on wealth ever written. And that book is called The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm not sure if you've read it or not, but since I launched the School of Greatness almost 9 years ago, I've done over 1,000 episodes. And this book is one that keeps coming up when people talk about wealth, money, and investing. And everyone from billionaires to millionaires to casual investors have used its principles as a guiding light to building long-term wealth for themselves and their families. And again, if you haven't seen the book yet, The Richest Man in Babylon, make sure you go check it out. Now, money is a language that can take a lifetime to learn, but one that's so important to know. And I remember when it used to be terrifying for me to think about money, to talk about it. It was just a scary concept. And I used to be just really terrified about it all the time because I didn't have any. But after surrounding myself with those that did have it, that were learning how to make it, those that had been successful as investors and building businesses, and by getting familiar with it, by learning from books like this one, The Richest Man in Babylon, I was able to eventually understand it and feel more comfortable about it. And I'm still learning, and I have a long way to go, but I've come a long way as well. And I know you can as well. Wherever you're at in your money situation, you can always learn more and improve from where you're at. Now, I want you to get out a piece of paper and a pencil and really take some notes during this entire episode, because I think it's going to support you in your money and wealth generating process. So there's 7 key lessons to this process that are talked about in the book. I'm going to paraphrase some of these lessons, and I'm going to make them more modern, because this book is over 100 years old, or it's almost 100 years old, and it's a parable. So they use some language that's a little bit different. So I'm going to kind of modify some of these principles that I've learned from some of these key billionaires and millionaires and successful investors that I've interviewed on the School of Greatness, and apply them to these 7 lessons. So lesson number 1 is to pay yourself first. Now, you've heard this when you get on an airplane. The first things they tell you during the safety demonstration is to put your own mask on first. You don't put it on someone else and then go unconscious, you put it on yourself, right? And this seems so simple. We've heard this over and over again in different parts of our life. We've heard this analogy 1 billion times, but it's so important. And it's extremely important when it comes to finances, but most people don't think that way. And a lot of us want to pay others first, or give that gift to our partner, or buy that new pair of shoes for a friend, or whatever it might be. And I'm not saying you have to give that up completely, but what I am saying is you want to make sure that your cup is filled before pouring anything into someone else's. And you need to be setting aside some percentage of every dollar you make into your savings or investments to really set yourself up for the future. And that's why what we say, pay yourself first, what that means here. So you really want to pay yourself first. And you always have to be prepared for an emergency situation. Anything can happen. For example, your business might get shut down unexpectedly. You may need to cover an expensive medical bill, and the list goes on and on. And that's why savings is such a critical first step in building long-term wealth. So how much money should you be putting away? Well, a financial expert and friend of mine and 10-time New York Times bestselling author, David Bach, he makes it pretty simple in his explanation. He says, first, we need to make a promise to ourselves to become financially selfish. This is what he calls it. And focus on our own financial goals before anyone else's. And the calculation David uses for setting aside savings is 1 hour of whatever it is we earn per day. So if you earn $100 over the course of a 10-hour workday, you would set aside $10. And others have different ways of approaching savings. Shark Tank investor and serial entrepreneur Kevin O'Leary says we should set aside 10% of every single penny we make, no questions asked. Now, my personal advice here is the same advice I give to people who tell me they're trying to build a business or achieve a big time goal, is you can go as slow as you want, but just don't stop. Do whatever you can when it comes to savings, but make a commitment to stick to it. So if you need to start small, that's fine. Just do slow, but just don't stop. Don't give a little here and then stop doing it for years. Just keep going. Another mentor, Tony Robbins, says to think of your savings like a tax that we have no control over being charged for. So think of money like it's gone forever. This type of money that you're gonna save, it's locked away. It's gone forever. It's a tax. It's gotta go out every single month like a tax would. And whatever it takes, just make sure to make a plan and stick with it. Try to automate some of these things if you can. And remember that if you don't pay yourself first, it'll be almost impossible to show up for other people the way you want to. So make sure you're paying yourself first, and that's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is to control your expenses. And this is a big one. Living within your means is something that is so important but often overlooked today. And you could blame the Instagram lifestyle or society's obsession with material things or whatever else. But the truth is, it's always been a problem. Overspending and not really managing your expenses. And people who aren't used to having money will oftentimes spend way too much the second they get in their hands. And you see a lot of this with pro athletes and celebrities, but it happens all the time with a lot of people as well. And who can really blame them? You know, when you get a lot of money coming in, you're just like, oh, this is cool, I want to spend it. You know, this is something that is exciting. But this stuff wasn't taught to us in school, and we aren't giving the tools we need to know how to prepare for taxes, how to avoid credit card debt, how to properly invest our money. So it's no wonder it's such a big challenge and issue. And if I was given a lump sum of money at an earlier age when I didn't understand these principles, then I would struggle with this as well. So living within your means means to set up a budget and to stick with it. Whether you make $30,000 a year or $3 million, learning to manage your expenses and know exactly how much you're able to spend and where you can spend, it is a cornerstone of building long-term wealth. And billionaire and legendary investor Ray Dalio, we had him on the show. He talked about this when we had him on, and he said that the first step to controlling your expenses and budgeting is to figure out how much you currently have saved and how long those savings could last if you lost all of your sources of income. Then figure out how much you want to grow that amount by. So let's say if you have 3 months worth up of money saved up and you want 2 years worth of it, then you just calculate how much you need to set aside per paycheck or per month to reach that goal. Make this easy on yourself. Budgeting doesn't have to be this overly complex thing, but you just got to be aware of where your money's at. We're so lucky today to have these incredible tools out there, our apps that can make budgeting even simpler for us. And there's services that can help you automatically set aside certain portions of your paycheck to go into savings or other accounts. This is easier than ever today, guys. That can also help you figure out exactly where you're spending your money. And most are pretty cheap too, or if not free apps. And if you're able to have stuff working for you in the background or automatically without you having to see it, then that's one of the easiest ways to make this change. So the quicker you can automate these things, the better. And the next thing is this, and I touched on it earlier, but it's worth repeating here. Surround yourself with people or a mentor who can really help you start learning the language, the conversation of money. And you'll need to pick up on their mindset, how they approach investing, wealth building, and more. For 99% of us or more, money is going to be something we have to deal with for as long as we live. It's a lifelong journey. So it's a skill worth mastering, and the sooner you learn it, the easier it is. And mentors have played a huge role in my growth, and they continue to do so every single day. I'm constantly meeting with people or getting on phone calls and talking with people who have achieved massive financial success to learn their strategies from them and reflect on what I need to do to change and improve in my life. And even if you don't have access to a mentor in the real world where you can call or meet in person, you can obviously start following people online who can start teaching you what they know about building wealth. There's books, there's courses, there's YouTube videos, podcasts, blogs, all these different channels on the topic, membership sites. So there's no excuse for you to be uninformed if you have the initiative to educate yourself. You've just got to be willing to put yourself out there, to do the research, to study, to learn, and find the right people that resonate with you. So the most important thing here is to be realistic about your current situation, where you are right now with your money. And you don't have to be ashamed about where you're at. You know, I remember feeling like when I had nothing and I didn't have the knowledge, it was a stressful situation, but we all are at different seasons of life. So there's no reason to be ashamed about where you're at, but you do want to take inventory and start investing and learning these habits and these skills. And you can always make more money later, and I hope you do, but you'll only be hurting yourself if your spending habits are not in line with how much you currently are making and how much you currently have. And before we continue, I want to tell you about a product that can help you on your investing journey, and that's Wealthfront. No matter your current situation, our sponsor Wealthfront can make investing easy, affordable, and accessible. They are pioneers in the automated investing movement, otherwise known as robo-advising. And it just takes a few minutes to sign up with Wealthfront to be on your way to a diversified portfolio that is tailored just for you. And once you open up and fund your account, Wealthfront software will manage it for you and employ expert strategies right away. They'll take charge of rebalancing to keep you at your desired risk threshold, as well as look for opportunities daily to lower your tax bill through their tax loss harvesting service. This is really cool. Investing in yourself and your future shouldn't feel like a full-time job. All you need is a few minutes and $500 to open an investment account, and Wealthfront does the rest. The annual management fee is 0.25% of your assets, and right now I'm partnering up with them to get you $5,000 managed for free forever. All you have to do is use my link, invest.wealthfront.com/Lewis. Okay, now for the next lesson. Lesson number 3. Again, we're going over the key lessons from this book, and we've modified them for the modern world. Lesson number 3 is to make your money multiply. Now, a friend of mine, mentor of mine, we've had on this show many times is Tony Robbins. And he wrote this book, Money Master the Game, 7 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom. And some of these principles are talked about in this episode as well. And he says that the worst exchange in the world is trading time for money. And obviously, if you're trading time for money and you're not maximizing that money, that's one of the worst things. You really want to maximize the money you're making and figure out how to multiply that money in different ways. And I agree, for even when I was doing something I loved, playing professional football, I wasn't making a lot of money. I was doing the thing I loved, but I wasn't optimizing the money I was making. I was trading my time to play professional football. I was trading my time for dollars, and that was great, but I wasn't optimizing it to go to the next level. I wasn't using that money to multiply for me. So you got to find ways to multiply the money that you have. So no matter how much you're making or how little you're making, hourly wages will always have a ceiling on how much you can earn, because you can only ever be in one place at one time. So even though I was playing football and I was getting paid for that, it was limited to what I could make. So even if you're the highest paid consultant in your industry, you might be making a lot of money currently, which is great, but if you want to build long-term wealth, then you need to make sure you're generating passive income with that money that you're making, or at least moving towards it, and that's the key. I want you moving toward this. And this is the kind of money that you can multiply while you sleep. And I know many of you might be thinking, but Lewis, I don't even have enough money right now to invest in real estate or buy a franchise or any other investments that might have an asset that we're typically thinking about when you hear the words passive income. And I hear you, I get it. I remember this feeling when I was barely making anything, so I understand. But there are other ways to make your money multiply, even if you aren't in the position to invest in those higher ticket assets like real estate right now. And one is looking into stocks, bonds, IRAs, index funds, mutual funds, and even a 401k. Now, some people might agree with some of these things and others might disagree, but you can really double down into these once you have your savings situated. So the savings first is key. But these don't require a huge amount of money upfront, and they compound over time. And one of the things I got into early on was index funds, and Tony talks about that in his book as well. And Tony often tells a story about how Warren Buffett, who's famous for his long-term investments like Coca-Cola, Gillette, See's Candy, and more, when Warren was asked what made him wealthy. First, he credited his genes that made him live longer than everyone else. And second, he credited compound interest, meaning because he was patient and let his investments multiply over a long period of time, instead of taking them out when times were tough and the market were down, he was able to generate massive wealth. He was lived a longer period of time, and he has been able to compound his interest. So the amount you put into these places can be $100 or $10,000 or whatever you can afford right now. And Ray Dalio, who we've had on and I mentioned earlier, he got his start in the stock market by investing the spare money he earned from caddying on a golf course when he was really young. He used that money and then he invested it in the stock market. So just like savings, the most important thing to remember when trying to make your money multiply is to be consistent. That's the key. And there are a ton of other ways to make passive income as well. And I'll end this section with an example from what I've done here at Greatest Media. So back when we first launched Greatest Media, if we wanted to make more money, it had to involve me in one way or another. I had to be working and making it happen. I had to be the one speaking at an event. I had to be the one reading an ad on the podcast. I had to be the one coaching a client and more. And don't get me wrong, we were doing well, but it was exhausting if it's always you doing the thing. And I was doing this for myself and also paying other people, so it all fell on me. I had to be everywhere and have my hands on everything in the process, and it was intense. Then I shifted our focus as a company to start creating scalable products that could make money without me being 100% involved every moment. And today we have membership programs like Greatness Academy and Greatness Coaching. We're investing more time into YouTube that makes more money on a recurring basis for us. We have dynamic advertising on the podcast, so it doesn't rely on just me each time, and evergreen content that continues to drive sales and leads. And these scalable products allow us to keep growing no matter if I'm asleep, if I'm awake, if I'm traveling, if I'm at the gym, or taking a day off. And it's one of the most important and best decisions we've made as a business so far. And you don't have to create 5 new revenue streams today, but look at your current situation and figure out what the next best revenue stream could be and start there. And I've learned to create new ones over time, but it doesn't all happen at once. So that's lesson number 3. Moving into lesson number 4, I hope you're getting a lot of value out of this. If you're over on YouTube, leave a comment below of what you're learning and how this is supporting you so far. And if you're listening over on the podcast, make sure to share this out with a friend who you think would be inspired by these money multiplying strategies. So lesson number 4, protect your money from losses. Now this point comes down to reducing the level of risk in your investment. You've heard it a lot when people talk about the stock market in playing the long game versus the short game. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, this can be a tricky one. As entrepreneurs, you've got to be willing to take risks. When it comes to building long-term wealth, we need to approach money differently. And I had the opportunity to speak with a financial advisor and best-selling author, Ramit Sethi, a while back on the show, and he's master when it comes to the stock market and investing. And something he said really surprised me. He told me that he only signs in and checks his portfolio about once per month. He does this to avoid making short-term reactive decisions based on where the market's at. Oh, the market's up, the market's down, and reacting. And this goes back to avoiding buying something just because it's hot right now and focusing instead on more secure, stable, long-term investments. And since Ramit's accounts are all automated, he doesn't even have to think about where his money is going. He can sit back and let the long game work in his favor without lifting a finger, without having to check and react and obsess over these things. And this brings us to another important point when it comes to reducing risk, and that is diversifying your portfolio. And I know it can be fun to make daily trades and try to beat the system, and I get it, it can be fun. But the reality is some of the world's largest firms spend hundreds of millions of dollars on market research. So that's who you're up against. It's not a fair fight, I get it. So the best way to increase your chances of investments panning out is to diversify your portfolio instead of putting all your eggs in one basket. Now, this doesn't mean you can't have some fun with Bitcoin and crypto and other less stable investments. You can. Try all this stuff if you want to. But Ramit and I We're even talking about how we tried out angel investing for many years and neither of us have ever earned our money back from it. It was a lot of fun and we approached it as a gamble, not an investment or money we'd see in the future. And that's an important distinction to remember here. You don't want to spend money that you can't afford to lose. So even though I have tried a lot of different things with money in terms of investments, some things have worked and continue to work, other things haven't yet, like angel investing hasn't really paid off for me yet. For some people, that's where they generated a lot of their wealth. But that doesn't happen for everyone. So just like Bitcoin or crypto or NFTs have been massive for some people, it also means a lot of people have lost a lot of their money. And you just have to be willing to understand what you're investing in. You have to be willing to do the research. You have to be willing to know what you can and cannot afford to lose when you're investing your money, because there is no guarantee on any investment you make. So just be aware of some of these things and really try to diversify your portfolio. Lesson number 5, own your own home. Now this is kind of an analogy we want to bring here. We've all heard the importance of owning your home or your condo or your apartment that you live in. It's a stable asset that usually increases in value over time. So it's a good idea to eventually own it. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about this, but the principle doesn't necessarily mean it has to apply to real estate. It can also apply to business investments as well. And there are some people that say, you shouldn't own your home right away. You should take that big chunk of money and invest it in yourself first. And once you really have another level of savings and income, then you can own your home. So really just you want to understand where you're at when it comes to real estate, owning your home. The analogy is you want to own your home by investing in yourself. So whatever industry or career you're in, you should aim for some type of ownership. And this is your own skill set. This is a part of a company. This is building your own company on the side. And this goes back to the passive income point and making your money multiply. And if you're in a position at work to get a stake or some shares or some equity at the company at some point, then great. It could be an effective way to do this. Or if you wanted to build something on your own on the side, that's a way to do this as well. And if you own a business, this can mean investing money back into the company to help it grow faster and further. Even if you aren't in one of those positions right now, we all have the opportunity to become partial owners of a company through the stock market. This is where a lot of people build their wealth. You may not be able to buy into the company you work at, you may not start your own company, but you can invest some of your money into the stock market. And David Bach says there are only 2 escalators to building long-term wealth: real estate and the stock market. So if you haven't already, start to empower yourself by getting involved in either one of those. And it doesn't have to be much. And you can start with as little money here and then build up to your portfolio and increase your investments over time. And this will allow you to accumulate wealth over the long term. That's what this is about. For me, some of my best investments have been putting money directly back into this business, into my own home. My home is this business, for the sake of this example. And whether that's hiring new team members to join Greatness Media, whether that's, buying software to save us time and money, hiring consultants to improve our processes and workflows, the list goes on and on. These investments have paid dividends for me and our business. And you won't always see the return on the investment right away, just like the stock market or real estate. But over time, the value and impact is massive. And I'll give you an example. We invest in so many different things. For example, on YouTube, we hired a team, we brought in people to film, people to edit. We bought the equipment to film all of our videos for 5 years before we started making any money on YouTube. So we had all this content and we finally turned on advertising after 5 years of publishing content 2-3 times a week. And the returns finally came in 5 years later. So it doesn't always happen overnight. Again, just like the stock market and real estate, but investing back in yourself is always a good thing. So I challenge you to look at your own life and ask yourself where you can adopt the mentality of ownership, of being an owner, and where can you gain equity in a company or become a partial owner of an asset versus always trading just time for money. Start there and also start thinking of investing and owning pieces in different ways, the stock market or shares in real estate and things like that. Lesson number 6. Ensure a future income. So we've already talked about making passive income and the importance of setting aside money for long-term investments to have recurring revenue flowing in. So I'll hold off on repeating myself there. But in addition to that, there are a couple other ways to ensure a future income that I want to talk about. The first is investing in yourself. This is massive. The best way to ensure you have a future income is to make yourself recession-proof by continuing to learn new skills and building a strong personal brand. We talk about this in Greatness Academy, which I'll share with you more in just a moment. And there are a lot of ways to do this, and it doesn't mean you have to try to get 1 million followers on our Instagram or become famous on TikTok. It could be as simple as creating a website to showcase your designs if you're a graphic designer, and networking with other designers in your local area at meetups or conferences and events. And if you're a business coach, it could mean posting videos on YouTube, showcasing your expertise. And I know a lot of you will hear that and you'll think, well, Lewis, I've done that, but I haven't gotten a lot of views or shares or comments. And I understand. I won't lie to you and say numbers don't matter at all, but they're not the most important part. Even if you don't get views or shares or likes, publishing content that's aligned with your personal brand shows you're passionate about it, and it could set you up for future success. It shows you care about the work you do, and it allows others to be able to see that as well. Nobody paid attention to the content I put out for a long time, but consistently showing up for over a decade has led to me living my dreams and being on the path to accomplishing all my goals and really setting me up for financial freedom. The days of old-fashioned resumes are over. Nowadays, everything we publish online is a resume. So that YouTube channel we started is a part of your resume. Our LinkedIn profile is a resume. Our website, our Instagram, TikTok, all these things, they're part of our resume. So be productive and proactive and start building your personal brand based on it. Don't rob the world of your talents. That's what would be selfish. Be proud of the work you do and showcase the gifts you were given. And it might seem like doing that won't help you much in the short term, and maybe it won't. But believe me, in the long run, it's one of the best things you can do for yourself to really ensure your future income is guaranteed and recession-proof yourself by building your personal brand. And another way to ensure a future income is launching a side hustle. And as of right now, 1 in 3 people in the United States have a side business, and another 25% are planning to start one in the next year. So you'd be in good company if you decided to launch one if you haven't already. Using your nights and weekends to build up another source of revenue for you can help provide a financial cushion if you lose your job or if the economy goes through another recession like the pandemic. And it can also provide you with more money to put into your savings, your stocks, your bonds, real estate, or wherever you're investing right now. Lesson number 7, increase your ability to earn. Now we've made it to the final lesson and it's an important one, so make sure you pay attention. If you continue to increase your ability to earn as your career goes on, you'll be able to have more money in the bank and more money to put into your investments. So how do you start making more money doing the same things you're already doing now? Well, if you have a business or a side hustle that you're currently running, I always tell people that there are a handful of ways to do this. Number 1, you can increase your rates or prices right now. If you're a consultant who has 10 clients, then increasing your price can allow you to earn more while potentially working less. And this gets easier as you gain more experience and recognition in the industry you work in. A strong personal brand also helps a lot with this and makes it easier to charge more when people know who you are. And number 2, you can increase the number of leads or prospects your business has. So the more leads you have, the more potential for sales you'll have as well. And there are a million ways to go about getting more leads, but it all starts with marketing and advertising. Begin thinking about which social media platforms you can start running ads on to target your specific audience. What sort of content can you create and package into a webinar, an ebook, or an online course? Begin there. Number 3, you can improve your business's processes and workflows. And this is done through automating and optimizing the more repetitive processes first and continuing on from there. Luckily, there are so many incredible tools on the market today to help streamline virtually any process you have. It just comes down to research and investing in the right ones for your specific situation. And remember that time is money that you can never get back if you spend it poorly. Number 4, you can increase the number of products you sell. So more products, of course, leads to potential more sales for your business. As long as those new products solve a real pain point for your customers, this can be a great way to increase your income. And number 5, lastly, you can improve the quality of people on your team. Now, having an experienced, dedicated team is one of the best investments you could ever make for your business. It'll buy you back your time. It'll allow you to focus on what you're good at instead of stretching yourself too thin, trying to do everything at once, and help pave the way for exponential growth. Another huge opportunity to increase your ability to earn more money is to never stop learning. This is one I take to heart, and it's a key to my success. Year after year, I invest in coaches to help me improve in the areas of my life that I find most important. And at any given point, I'll have a coach for working out. I've got a Spanish coach to learn Spanish. I've got a therapist, business mentors, financial advisors, and many other coaches. I'm always looking to invest in that support. And I take learning seriously, because if I'm not always learning and improving my skill sets, then I feel like I'm regressing. And that's why you'll see me on every episode of the School of Greatness with a pen and a notebook ready to take notes as the people we have on share their advice, their strategies, and their life lessons. And if you're looking to take your learning to the next level, we actually just launched a membership community of growth-minded entrepreneurs called Greatness Academy. And members receive access to over 100 hours of trainings with me and some of the world's leading experts in their fields of online marketing and sales and growth. And every month, we bring you a new training and a live Q&A session with Team Greatness. You'll also gain access to a supportive community of other conscious achievers just like yourself, looking to improve in other areas of their lives. And we're already seeing incredible things happen to those who have joined, and I'd love for you to experience the same life-changing results. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, then I highly encourage you to check it out, and you can go to lewishowes.com/academy to learn more. I'll also have it linked in the description below. And there you have it. We got through all 7 secrets to building long-term wealth for you, your family, and your loved ones. So I hope you enjoyed it. Again, these principles came from this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. So be sure to give it a read if you found this episode valuable. Again, we took some of these concepts and we kind of reshaped them, reframed them for the modern time. We also had this book that I talked about, Money Master the Game, from Tony Robbins. So make sure you check this out. This is incredible. A lot of stuff I learned here about investing in index funds. Really cool strategies here about index funds that I started investing in about 5 years ago that I've seen incredible results year after year. So something there as well. I also highly recommend, if you're just getting started, checking out The Millionaire Morning. This is a book we wrote a few years ago that so many people love. Keep getting this book every day. We get sales here and people love this. This is about the mindset of millionaires in the morning, what they do with their morning routine to really help them set themselves up for success. The mindset, the habits, the rituals, and routines in the mornings. This is what the wealthy people do in their morning. Check this out. You can go to millionairemorning.com. This is a quick read with some exercises and examples as well. And I'll leave you with this final thought. I want you to always remember that the world makes room for passionate people. And this is something I believe so deeply, and I've seen happen time and time again. So whatever it is that you do, whatever it is you're most passionate about, whatever lights you up and excites you, bringing joy to that work will pay off for you big time in the long run. The more excited you are about what you're doing, the more people will be excited to work with you. Approaching life with a genuine sense of gratitude and joy is one of the most valuable currencies you can have. It can be a building block that brings wealth into your life as well. And one of the first steps to building long-lasting wealth is to know that you're worthy of it. And I think that anyone who's passionate and joyful about the work they do is worthy of the riches they desire. So if you believe you're worthy of long-term wealth and you really want to learn how to master this, then put in a comment on this YouTube video below, #wealth. So I can really see who's committed to this, who's invested in this. And if you want more of this type of content of learning how to master your money and your finances for the future, again, put in that #wealth as well below so I know who wants more of this type of content. If you got value from that, then go ahead and stick around for more coming up right now.
Well, the earning of money is an exact science, and it's governed by law. The amount of money you earn is in direct ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. It's the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. Now, in this business I'm in, you can earn an awful lot of money because there's a tremendous need for a person that does what I do. I've traveled all over the world, from Shanghai to Buenos Aires to all over Europe, Asia, everywhere. Everywhere they need what I've got. There's a tremendous need. I can earn more money than a neurosurgeon. Now, everybody has a brain, but not everybody needs it operated on. You know, so
they need it operated in a different way.
Yeah,
the way you do it.
It's the need for what you do, then your ability to do it. So if there's a great need for what a person's doing, then they've got to get really good at it. So you never stop getting better at it. You're good at what you do. And I don't mean to flatter you. You are just good at it. I've watched you do it.
Thank you.
And you do it, like I was mentioning, you're sort of the well, you're much the same as drawing a blank on his name.
Talking about Larry King?
Larry King, yeah. Because Larry was a master. Larry never talked about Larry. It was all about you. You never heard him say I. It was always about, interviewing the person. So there was a great need for what he did. He was entertaining a lot of people. His ability to do it, he was very good at it, so he was very difficult to replace. Now, when you're difficult to replace, your stock goes up.
Yeah.
We've got to learn how to earn money. And most people don't know how to earn money. Most people think you go to work to earn money. You know, I was in a seminar in Phoenix, it was probably a couple of years ago now, and this guy came over and talked to me. I knew him, not well, but I knew him. And he was a doctor. And he told me he was thinking of quitting. I said, why are you going to quit? Well, he said, the medical profession's all messed up now. He said, you got to put in more time to earn less money. I said, well, that's true. But I said, why'd you become a doctor? Well, he said, I love it. Well, I said, what the hell? The fact that you're earning any money is a plus. You don't go to work for money. You go to work for satisfaction. There's two rewards in life. One is material and the other is psychic. We shouldn't work for money. We should work for satisfaction. You provide service to earn money. Take some recording stars. My God, they earn millions on a recording. But look at the millions of people that are being entertained. Mm-hmm. Construction workers, air flight attendants, restaurants. The music's playing, entertaining all the people that can hear that music. So they're entertaining all the people. And that's where it's coming, you see. You do what you work at what you love to do, and you'll get tremendous satisfaction. Like, I love what I'm doing. I would do it for nothing if I had to, but I just love it. I really love it. And so the fact that I love it, why would I want to do anything else? And that's what I said to him. You get satisfaction from what you do and what you love to do. So every day when I get up to go to work, I'm doing what I love doing. You provide service to earn money. I have all kinds of stuff that we sell, programs that we're selling. Somebody buying them now. I don't know who they are or where they are, but I'm earning money right now while we're talking. And when I go to bed tonight, I'll be earning money, and I'll earn it all night. And I like that idea, because we're providing service. So I think we have to get the money straight in our mind, and I don't think most people have it straight. If you, if people don't, you were mentioning if a person didn't like to talk about it, they have a problem with it.
So start talking about it more?
Absolutely. Yeah. If there's somebody that you're around, a partner, an associate or something, and they really don't want to talk about money, I think there's a problem there.
Yeah. If someone came to you and has struggled with money their entire life, whether they're in their early 20s or they're in their 40s or 50s, and they asked you, Bob, what do I need to do to make my first $1 million? What would you say are the most important things they should think and act on next?
Well, first of all, they got to believe that they can earn the $1 million. They got to develop a belief system. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate the situation, our belief about it will change. We've got to understand that money is easy to earn. I work with our sales staff all the time, helping them learn how to earn more money. I work with members of our staff, different members of our staff, helping them develop the desire to earn more money, and then I show them how they can do it. And
how do we believe if we've never seen evidence before or gotten results before of earning it?
Yeah, it's through the repetition of it, through the repetition of writing it and believing it. I had an affirmation that I used for years, still use it. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. And I just keep repeating that like a mantra. And you write out, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have in my possession $1 million. And that's where you started out intellectually, then you get emotionally involved. And if you keep doing that, ultimately you're going to attract the money. Now you've got to ask, how can money be earned? Money can be earned in all kinds of different ways. We have a company, MSI Connect. It's a pet of mine, not my partner's. I don't think she's too in love with it. But I think it's a neat company. MSI is multiple sources of income, Connect. And there's a lot of people there, and they connect with each other. And they set up joint ventures with each other. They set up affiliate things with each other. You can buy different things there. People sell stuff there. They study money there. You've got to get into an environment where money is talked about, where it's understood.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you say that, because for years I have studied money at different levels, and those levels of studying have gotten me to those results. But I've never been able to really, but there's always a cap, and you've got to learn something new in order to break through that cap into a new level. And I've never really understood the stock market. I've always just invested in certain things and allowed them to just work on their own. But I've never actually taken full ownership of learning it myself. I've always had a financial advisor and things like that. And now I said, I just want to understand the stock market. I want to learn it, because I don't know. I'm still uneducated. I don't even know how to buy I bought my first stock like a few months ago myself. I've invested in stocks and index funds, but I've actually learned how to do it myself. And I was like, I need to find the best people that are doing this and learn from them and have conversations with them. And it's been amazing in a short amount of time by surrounding myself with people that are doing it at an astronomical level, just by having a couple conversations, taking the risk and doing it myself and trying it and learn and fumbling around, having no clue what I'm doing. I'm already seeing growth in a couple of months. But if I didn't have the awareness to ask those questions and surround myself with that knowledge and then apply it and continue to learn from it, I'd still be stuck to where I was before. And so I think that's what we need to, I love the way you talk about the environment, about constantly being curious, asking these questions and having the conversations, because it doesn't matter how successful we are, we'll be stuck to a level of our past knowing until we break through and find a new knowing. I'm curious, for those who want to learn the Millionaire Morning routine, they want to master this, they want to learn what do those
millionaires and billionaires do with their morning routine. You've already shared a few things that you do. What would it look like if you had 90 minutes in the morning to set yourself up to reprogram your money mindset?
Well, I don't think it would take you 90 minutes. You could spend, 9 minutes. If you just write this down right now. I am so happy and grateful. I am so happy and grateful now that I have multiple sources of income. I am so happy and grateful now that I have multiple sources of income. You know, if you write that out every day for the next 30, 60 days, you're going to become very, very aware of having multiple sources of income. Wealthy people all have multiple sources. They don't have one or two. They have a whole bunch of them. I don't know how many sources of income I've got. I'm not even interested in figuring it out because somebody else looks after that. I don't look after it. But I do know that you can do that. That's what Keith did it down in New Orleans. God, his life changed so dramatically. And I'll show you different things you can do because anyone can. You want to set up multiple sources of income. You know, I was flying on a plane to KL. I used to fly from Toronto to KL once a month and back. It's 25 hours in the air one way. So,
wow.
When I'm in the air, I either work with names, words, or numbers. And I wrote down one with 6 zeros. And I thought, what is the big deal about $1 million? You know, you often hear people say, what would you do if you had $1 million, if you won $1 million? And I got thinking about it. And I played with that on the plane for quite a while. And it dawned on me they do not have one source of income. They don't have a job. Now, some people have a job, earns $1 million, but that's the unusual one. Mm-hmm. And then I got playing with it further, and I broke it down. They'd have more than one, and then I got it multiple, and then MSI. Well, then I got thinking we should run a seminar, teach people to earn $1 million by setting up multiple sources of income. And when I got off the plane, I phoned Mark Victor Hansen down in Newport Beach. I was in KL. I woke him up in the middle of the night. And I got talking. He says, great idea. So we started the $1 Million Forum. And he got involved in Bernie Dorman, who just passed away, and Jack Canfield and Lee Poulos. In fact, that's where the Chicken Soup for the Soul books came from that particular seminar. And we were teaching people to set up multiple sources of income. Well, they earned many millions from that. But that's where that started. And you are in a beautiful position to set up all kinds of sources of income. So when you think of wealth, you know, you might only earn 10 or 15,000 from one source. You might earn 200,000 or 300,000 from another. But you have a lot of them.
Right.
And that's where you'll earn wealth. Like, I don't invest in the stock market. My wife's bought stocks. Sandy buys stocks, I think. I just don't pay attention to it. It doesn't interest me. Mm-hmm. I'd rather earn it by thinking, putting an idea to work than let the stock market do for me. That doesn't excite me.
Sure.
I'd rather sit here and think of. If I sat here for another hour after we get off, I could think of a way of creating a source of income. And it would be a damn good one because they're all good.
Right.
Very creative. My mind is, conditioned along that level.
Yeah. What do you think are 3 skills everyone should learn in order to generate more wealth and generate more income for themselves, or just to improve the quality of their life in general? What are those 3 skills you wish everyone could master?
Well, you've got to be fairly creative. You've got to have a free flow of energy. Energy has to flow through. You can't be stubborn. You can't lock in on something and not want to let go of it. You've got to have a free flow. You've got to be interested in ideas, new ideas. You were talking about not wanting to watch television. I don't watch much. I love watching Shark Tank, though.
Yeah, it's great.
And
I
like
just interviewed
watching
Kevin O'Leary yesterday. Yeah, he's great.
Well, you worked with him yesterday, did you say?
I just had Kevin O'Leary on yesterday.
Yeah. Well, you see, now that guy's mind, it's amazing the way it works.
Yeah.
But you watch all of them, all those sharks, their mind, it works like a rocket, you know? Mm-hmm. And they break things down. Somebody will say something, they break all kinds of things down from what the one thing the person will say. They are very, very sharp, every one of them. And Kevin is certainly one of the sharp ones on there. But they all are, you know. I don't know if there's one any sharper than the other. But they've got a very free flow of ideas.
Yep. So flow of energy, free flow, interested in new ideas. What's another skill?
I think you have to be service-oriented. You really have to be thinking of how to do things for people, how to help people. Because money is a reward received for service rendered.
Yeah. It's hard to help others when you're always consumed with the negativity in your own life.
Oh, well, I mean,
that's mentality.
That's why poor people remain poor. They're so locked into their problems. But if you listen, if a person is like that, let's suppose they're really locked in on problems, but they hear what I've just said, they really got to think of serving others. How can I serve others? How can I be of greater service? You're going to figure it out. Discipline yourself for, let's say, 30, 60, 90 minutes a day, sitting down and thinking of writing down 10 ideas that could be of service to other people. And you probably won't get very good ones for the first little while, but if you keep doing it, they'll keep coming, you know?
Absolutely. Or you'll try stuff in the beginning and you'll learn something from those efforts and you'll realize how to make them better.
Yeah.
And you maybe don't stick with them. When I started, I was like doing stuff, just hustling around, trying to figure it out. And you realize what doesn't work for you until you realize what does work.
Everyone teaches you how to save money, but almost no one teaches you how to spend it. And I want to challenge people. I have this principle I call the D2C Principle. And it, instead of being derisive and saying, oh, so stupid, that's ridiculous, I would never do that. I actually want to encourage everyone to be curious. Why would a guy like Lewis intentionally spend money on a business class ticket? Man, he earns good money. He has a lot of options. He must know something that I don't. And I want to understand why. So from D to C, and if you start to take that perspective, especially on high earners and how they spend their money, all of a sudden you stop saying, that's ridiculous, or if I had $1 million, I would never do that. Instead you say, why did that person spend on that? And I want to know. Maybe I don't agree. Maybe, you become a multimillionaire and you don't want to spend on business class. You just don't care. But it's interesting that you do it, and I'd like to know more.
Yeah, but I'm also always trying to save.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to spend, but I want to save a lot if it's going to be expensive. I'm like, I'm always telling my assistant, like, look for the deal, look for the deal. Like, even if it's $1,000, try to get it half off.
Okay, so that's...
I'm willing to spend, but save me money too.
Okay, so that's a great point that I want to demystify a little bit about high earners. A lot of folks think that once you make $250K or 2.5 million, whatever the number is, that suddenly you're just throwing money around left and right. And that's not quite correct. It might seem like that because to spend, say, $7,000 for a business class international flight just seems like, oh my God, that's so crazy. But I want you to get more nuanced. You're telling your assistant, say, I don't mind spending, but save.
Yes.
What I do with my financial system is I set a target each year. This is how much money I'm going to save and invest. And those numbers are aggressive. That's a lot of money.
You're going hard.
Yeah, like every year.
10%, 30%?
Yeah, so anywhere between those ranges. And we have folks who...
Of what you earn.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then remember, whenever I make any unexpected income, let's say I did a speaking gig or something. Yeah, I might get myself I might go out to dinner. but the rest I'm just putting straight in investments.
Wow.
Okay, so that money grows aggressively. And I also want to remind everybody, especially the entrepreneurs watching, I know you have a lot of entrepreneurs. You wouldn't believe how many entrepreneur friends I know who have a good business and they don't invest at all. And that's a huge mistake.
What should you be investing in if you have a good business?
Simple, low cost, target date funds is a great way to go. Entrepreneurs,
index funds?
Yeah, index funds.
Yeah.
They get a little too smart for their own good. They say, I could just put that money in my business. And I always say, look, I'm glad you have a business that's throwing off tons of cash. That's awesome. Most businesses don't last 80 years.
Yeah.
So be smart. Give yourself a small plan B. Put $5K a month, $10K a month, whatever's appropriate for your level of success. And hey, maybe your business does really well. That's awesome. But maybe one day something goes wrong. Always want to be prepared. You never want to have your back against the wall. So I just want to encourage everybody, whether you're making 250K or 2.5 million for the high earners here, don't get too smart for your own good. Keep investing and saving.
What are the 3 or 4 main things you invest in with that 10 to 30% a year?
Yeah.
And does it change year to year?
Yeah, I'll kind of walk you through for the high earners, and then we can talk about people 100K and less. So once you have a certain amount of capital, you do have a few opportunities that you probably didn't have before. Everybody has this idea that, you know, the rich have all these crazy tax breaks and captive insurance and this and that. And I've looked into all that stuff, right? I know
building
about
insurance companies and all these other things, right? Yeah.
Here's the truth. The truth is,
some stuff is a little sketchy, but yeah.
Definitely. And I'll say my core values are that when it comes to things like taxes,
I love your principle on this.
I'm very conservative. I'm like, dude, only in this country could I have been this successful.
I love this mindset. Yeah.
I'm happy to pay my taxes. It means that I had the opportunity to create something great. And if I pay an extra $5,000 or $30,000, it doesn't change my life at all. And I want to be able to give back to the society that enabled me to do what I do.
That's a powerful mindset. And it gets you away from, you still want to optimize tax breaks that are out there, but it gets you away from trying to constantly look for some of the shortcuts or like schemes or something. It's like,
yes, I've always found that the people, especially entrepreneurs who talk about tax breaks all the time, are typically the most unsuccessful ones.
Wow.
2 reasons. 1, why are you talking about tax breaks instead of growing your business?
Yeah.
And 2, it's a very scarcity driven mindset. Ooh, I only have this much that I have to protect, when really you can just grow the pie and your taxes are simply a proportion. Just make more. Now, yes, you do want to optimize and take advantage of all legal tax breaks. So as you earn more, you do have more opportunities. You have not only your 401k, you have all kinds of advanced IRA options, you have HSAs, you have a variety of things. But at a certain point, if you're making enough, you're going to max all of those out.
Yep.
Okay,
so what do you do when you max it all out?
So then the next step is to simply create a taxable account. It's just a typical non-retirement account, just at Vanguard or where I use Vanguard, whatever you want. And you just continue to invest. So that's one, and that's going to keep making you money over the long term. It's just you're not going to get those tax breaks from a 401k and IRA, et cetera. The other thing is, as you accumulate more and more assets, you're going to start to notice a lot of different people are going to come with opportunities. I get text messages from these crazies. They're like, hey, I'm opening up a bar in Brooklyn. I'm like, I don't want your stupid bar. I'm not investing in that. I could burn my cash easier. But you're going to want, as you start to accumulate a lot, you're going to want to have a little fun with your money when it comes to investing. So some people want to do crypto. I think a lot of these people are complete nut jobs.
It's crazy,
okay?
man.
Look, you crypto.
I put a little bit in there just to like have fun, but I was like, thank goodness I didn't put more in there because everyone's losing their money now.
Exactly. And they're all, okay, I don't even want to get into crypto because I'm going to get a lot of angry emails. Hey, if you want to email me about your angry crypto opinions, just send it to trash@iwillteachyoutoberich.com. Don't send it to me. But you know what? I like what you said. You took a little bit, you had some fun.
Yeah, I had some fun.
5 to 10%, once you've got all your other stuff automated, you've got your index funds locked down, HSA, your different accounts. I don't have any problem. I think you should take 5 to 10% and you should have some fun with it. For me, I did angel investing and I basically learned that I suck.
Yeah,
my angel investing is not good.
I haven't made any money from investments.
My deal flow sucks. My choices were okay. Some hit, most didn't. I basically just wrote that money off. But it was fun and it allowed me to have an outlet.
And you learned. And you got to meet people and
Yeah. So if you want to do crypto, if you want to invest in somebody's bar, you want to do angel investing, if you're qualified, etc., be my guest. But don't jump to that first. Get all your stuff automated. And at a certain point, the compounding is so insane. You will start to actually earn more from your investments than you will from your income, even if you're making $500K a year.
From the index funds you're talking about, if you're investing in that. What if the market's going down or up? Should you even worry about that? Let's say you put $500,000 in.
Yeah.
It went up 100,000 over a couple of years, but then it went back to the original investment. Should you be like, oh my gosh, I need to take this out?
Do not do that. I'll give you a real example.
I just put 2 years of my money into this and it's still the same amount.
Okay.
Should have just left it in the bank.
No, you shouldn't have left it in the bank. All right, so this happened to me just about 2 weeks ago. So the market went down, and I hardly ever log. I log in about once a month to my investments.
See like,
yeah. And really, you should not be checking your investments.
Check every 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Once a month is good, and like, you're not a day trader.
Yeah.
Okay, so I happened to log in, and I saw that in the 11 days of that month, in one of my accounts, I had lost $75,000. Okay, so for everybody listening, how would you react if you lost $75,000 in 11 days?
Most people would be freaked out.
They'd be freaked out. They would pull
Take
their
the money out.
Yeah, which is exactly the opposite of what you should do. So everyone says this common thing and they just roll their eyes. Oh, buy low, sell high. But in reality, they actually buy high and sell low. So you know what I did? I did nothing. I logged in. I felt no emotion. It wasn't like my life is over. It was like watching someone offer me concrete to eat. Like I felt nothing. I'm like, nah, it's fine, whatever. I just closed the window. The key there is every month, my system is automatically investing. It's called dollar cost averaging. It's just automatically investing. And you should set the same thing up too. You shouldn't be paying attention manually. You shouldn't be sending a check. It just works automatically. And so I knew this month, the market is down. And if you think about any other thing you buy, if the price of toothpaste goes down, you're happy. If the price of milk goes down, you're happy. The only time we get weird is when the price of the market goes down and then we're like, oh, let me pull all my money out. Bad move. The price went down. If you're young and you have a long time before you need the money, you're getting the market at a discount. You should get excited. You should get excited. So I just said, great, it went down, fine, doesn't bother me. And I just closed the window. And a few days later, my system will just purchase it again. So if it's up, it's down, it doesn't matter in the short term. But over the long term, we know that the market tends to return about 7 to 8% over time. Yeah. But it can go up, it can go down. And so you do not want to be paying attention in the short term.
Let's say you've got $500,000 to $1 million extra cash laying around. You've maxed out all your IRAs. You've got 5 to 10 grand a month going to your index funds. You've dabbled in the smaller investments and startups, and you've done it all. Yeah, you've got a little bit in crypto. You've tried everything. What should you do with that extra $1 million a year?
Okay, great question. First off, this is like somebody saying to a fitness instructor, you know, I've done everything. What should I do next? And that, you know what that fitness instructor is going to say? They're going to say, when you say everything, what do you really mean? Like, show me. Are you doing foam rolling? Are you doing this? Are you all balanced? For the person who's doing this, I'm going to give you your answer, but I'm going to first say, are you sure? Have you planned out? So you know that 10 years from now, you're going to buy a house. Do you have a 20% down payment set aside? I do. And I have no plans to buy a house anytime soon, but I have 20% set aside for a house.
For that moment, yeah.
Yeah, for when so I already plan for what I know is coming, even though I have no interest in it today. What about the first year of your kid's life? Do you have that set aside? What about XYZ? Are you taking care of your parents when they get older? One thing that I really love to do is talk about relationships. So I love to invite my family once a year for a big, big vacation where we can all stay in a house and there's like a chef and all this stuff and we can all be there and the kids can be playing. Is that something that's important to you?
That's cool.
Right? So plan for that. Now, if you've done all that stuff, you got your 6-month emergency fund, you've got your investments automated on autopilot, and you still have money left over, you're in an awesome position. And now you can do a couple of things. One, if you want to keep growing that money, you can simply invest it in a non-retirement taxable account. And that money will grow like crazy. If you're putting in 10, 20K a month, that money will turn into massive amounts. And you can, if you guys don't believe me, just go search for compound interest calculator. Bankrate has a really good one, and plug in 20K a month for 10 years. And that's it. Just stop. and watch what happens as that money grows.
7-8%.
Yeah, at 7% returns, and watch what happens.
Right.
It becomes like a tsunami. You cannot stop it. So that's one. The other thing is, if you want to invest in a little bit of fun stuff, if you're like, hey, I want to take 10% of this and invest in like this crazy investment, my buddy's starting a thing, go ahead. Just be prepared to write it off. Maybe it works, maybe not. And then from there, you should also remember a third thing, and nobody really talks about this. Maybe it's time to increase your quality of life. Maybe instead of staying in the middle back seat, it's time to upgrade to the exit row.
Right. Or business class.
Business
or whatever,
class. Or maybe it's time to eat at a different restaurant. Maybe it's time to really think about your money dial and say, hey, I always claim that wellness is important, and yet I'm still eating like the same old thing I used to eat 10 years ago. Maybe it's time to upgrade what I eat and where I work out and all that kind of stuff, my gear. You can do that. Yeah. You've made it. You already won the basic game. So now you get to benefit from it.
What about real estate? Because a lot of people, I hear people that are all in on real estate investment, or they're kind of like all in on the market.
I think that real estate, so a lot of people are going to hate me after I say this. I know you guys have all been told since you were like 2 years old, real estate's the best investment ever. And it turns out that's not really true. A couple of things that might surprise you.
If you're buying one home.
If you're buying a house and living in it.
If you're buying multiple units or buying multiple homes and that's your business, it might be a better investment.
Correct. Let me make the distinction. So most people in America are told that the American life, the American dream is graduate from college, get married, buy a house, white picket fence, 2.5 kids, and you made it. And I think we all just have to look at people who are a little bit older than us to realize that might not be our American dream. We might want to travel more. We might want to work remotely. I mean, here we are in the middle of a weekday, chit-chatting and sharing it with millions of people. This is our dream. So I want to challenge people to really question what you've been taught. That's number one. Number two, most people who buy a house and live in it think that it is the best investment, but most people have never run
like my piggy bank.
Yeah, they think that. They don't understand that when you spend money on a house, you've incurred tons of phantom costs. You have taxes, you have maintenance, you have all kinds of things that you don't count. And if you actually factor all those numbers in, real estate often, in fact, many times, is not a great investment at all. It's a place to live. And you have these phrases like you're throwing money away on rent. It's not true. Your landlord's making a profit, otherwise they wouldn't do it. That's not true. Your landlord can't charge you whatever they want. They can only charge you what the market will bear.
Yeah.
So if you search my name and real estate, you'll see all the numbers played out. Now, on the other hand, if you are a real estate investor and you're disciplined, that's a different story, and that can be effective. But mom and pop who are thinking that they bought their house in 1970 for $200,000 and now it's worth $600,000, they think they made $400,000. Actually not. If they had taken that money and put it in the market, they would probably have much, much more.
Really?
Yeah.
In a digital world, you provide value first.
Value.
Value. Give out. It's the 3 E's, right?
Yes.
You're putting out content that is either educational, encouraging, or entertaining. And typically some mix of all three: educational, encouraging, or entertaining. And the digital marketing strategy that we employ at Brand Builders Group for Rory Vaden Personal Brand and for all of the clients that we work with, that we teach these personal brands, is teach everything you know for free, one bite at a time, but in all random order, right?
So it's not packaged in the right order as you would have in a book or a course or a workshop or an event.
Right. You know, we've said this before. People don't pay for information. They pay for organization and application.
Yes.
And we have a thing called the services spectrum, which basically says, you know, information is down here, it's free. Organization is here in the middle. You can charge a little bit, like in a course or a book or like a membership site, but application is up here at the top, which is like a coaching program or consulting, like done for your services application. Information is social media, podcasting, blogs,
YouTube videos. Yeah.
People don't pay for information, but you're just giving them bite-sized chunks of information. You're teaching everything you know, but not all at once and in the right sequential order. People pay for the right order. That's organization. I mean, we tell. One of the reasons people hire us at Brand Builders Group is because we have a very set curriculum, the Brand Builder Journey, and we say, look, one of the biggest problems with personal brands is that people do the right thing, but in the wrong order. They're like launching Facebook ads the first month, and it's like, that's step 76. You're like, you skipped all of this.
They don't have a funnel yet, so they're launching it to nothing.
Yeah, you're driving it back to nothing.
Yeah.
You're spending all this time on social media driving back to nothing. So the first thing is find your uniqueness, figure out what you're good at, then extrapolate that into a product, create your service, your product offer. You may already have that. And then after that, it's like, okay, how do I drive traffic? If we're and there's two worlds here. When I think of marketing and sales, I think of the online world and the offline world. And we've done both, which is rare. Most of the people have done one or the other. And it's like, I've done the door-to-door thing. I worked for a startup IT company doing inside corporate B2B phone sales. Then when we started our former company, we did phone sales like B2B for like small businesses, and we did free presentations and we sold. But the fastest mechanism to generating a lead is to do a free presentation demonstrating your value, your expertise. It's giving people a sample and then offering them the next step.
Yes.
Here's what it is. It is the food court. When you go to the food court,
Want some orange chicken?
and the orange chicken on a stick,
Man, tastes good. I want the whole thing now.
it's a sample, and if you want more,
Man,
I'm right here.
C's candy gets me every time. Get you a free piece of candy, just go into the store, and you're like, ooh, I want the whole box.
Yeah, I mean, it's and
It's a free presentation. You could do this through many different mechanisms. It used to be free workshops in person.
speaking. And by the way, like when
At
I say
local events.
this is what everybody does. Like this is what Jim Rohn did, and Tony Robbins, and Brian Tracy, and Tom Hopkins, and like everybody in the personal development industry, they used to go do. This is how we built our former
This
company.
is what people in real estate industries do.
They do it.
They teach at a free seminar.
Free seminar.
A 90-minute live free training.
Financial advisors do this.
Yes.
Come to my free dinner
Yeah.
presentation on 10 keys to retirement. Why? Because it works.
Yes.
Like you're giving value and you're leveraging the law of reciprocity, right? As I give to you before instead of ask. The way you make sales is by giving so much that at some point they like ask you to buy versus showing up and asking all the time. In fact, we use a rule called, we call it the rule of 10. And this is this is more of like a pricing thing. But people get really weird around price and asking for the money, and when it comes to collecting the credit card, and or if you're on like a webinar or a Facebook Live, or if it doesn't matter if it's Facebook Live, it's a webinar, it's a video funnel, or it's standing on stage, or it's talking to one person. You got to be convicted in the value you're bringing, and the way you do that is by over-delivering. The number one way to drive your own conviction is over-delivering. And everyone teaches sales as like, the voodoo mind tricks on the person you're talking to. The real game is winning the battle in your own mind and being convinced that what you have is valuable. And the rule of 10 helps you do that. So basically, when people are putting together their first offer, they tend to like swing for the fences and go, I'm going to charge for a $2,000 video course or something. And they say, well, I saw a video and my coach told me charge what you're worth. That's terrible advice. Don't charge what you're worth.
What should we charge?
When you're starting out, don't charge what you're worth. Charge what you can get. Charge what you're convicted on. Charge what you can massively over-deliver upon.
Yeah.
If I'm charging what I'm worth, there's going to be a bit of reluctance when I deliver the price. They're going to feel it, and it's going to massively reduce the percentage conversion.
Yeah, someone once told me charge what 10x the value.
Yeah, that's the rule of 10.
Right?
So
it's like if it's
charge 1/10 of what it's worth.
Exactly. If it's $10,000 worth of value, then charge 1,000, right?
That's right.
And if it's $1,000 worth of value, charge 100. If it's 100, charge 10.
So you always have if it were a bank account, you always have this like this balance with people, and you go. And it starts for free. It starts on social media, which is amazing. Like the power that social media gives us, it's not that you have to reach millions of people. It gives us a mechanism to push a button and deliver value.
Yes.
Because it's like people go, it's like a chicken or the egg. How do I build an audience? I want to provide value, but I don't have an audience. No, you provide value first. If nobody is watching, you record and you teach value, you deliver it, and people will engage with that. Now we have a process, which I'm happy to talk about,
Yes.
of converting comments into customers. So, I don't know if you want to take this more like online or if you want to do like more offline.
I think online's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So, it starts with the mind. Okay. Self-centeredness is the problem. Service-centeredness is the solution.
Yes.
You never feel fear when the mission to serve is clear. You get your mind right. Then you go, okay, I'm going to go out and provide value. So you start pumping out value. We have a thing called the content diamond, which I know I've talked about on other episodes. We can touch on that. But anyways, you're putting out value. And now what happens is people like and comment. And what most of us do is we go, 6 views.
Right.
And it's just like, and we get self-centered again. And we go, I only have 6 views. Jay Shetty gets like 6 billion views. And I'm like, and it just makes me feel awful because I'm thinking about myself. And there's like a comment. And then you're like, I don't have and then what we do are like, I don't have time to deal with these comments. Someone sends you a DM and you're like, I don't have time to deal with these DMs. And you're missing it. Comments and DMs are where the sale happened on social media.
Right.
Like the dollars are in the DMs.
Ooh.
The dollars are in the DMs because when somebody leaves a comment,
They're saying, hey, I'm interested.
I'm interested.
I want to know more.
I like you.
Whether they're not saying I want to know more or not, they want to connect.
They want to connect.
They're coming to your door. They're knocking on your door. You got to open it.
Bingo. Yeah, that's a great way of thinking it.
You're not going to their door. They've come to you.
They have come to yours. And if you're too busy to interact with those people, don't be on social, period.
Right.
Unless you're just doing the thing where you're going to do it for years and years and years, and one day you'll have more audience. But even it's like, if you want to really impact lives. Like that's what pisses me off is people are like, I want to impact lives, and it's like, great, okay, let's put put a video out there. Well, I don't have any followers. Well, I don't care. Like, I'm not getting paid to do it.
Focus on one at a time.
One person. You said you wanted to impact lives. Impact lives. There's no barrier to impacting lives. There's no barrier. It's easier than it has ever been in history to impact lives. You can do it with text. You can record and make it a podcast. You can do video. But you are a button from impacting. I want to change the world. Great. You're one button away. Get busy. Right? The truth is, we want to have millions of followers. We want to feel important. We want other people to respect us. And you go, let all that crap go. Just focus on what you originally said. Impact lives. And then, so we use a little formula here when someone comments. Usually we will try to move the conversation from comments into DMs. If it's a sales conversation, if it's just chatter, we'll do it in comments. But when you go, I want to convert comments into customers, you do that in the DMs. So you move them over to your DMs.
Send me a DM or you message them.
You message them and then you comment. You say, hey, thanks for this. I just sent you a DM. Now you might comment back on their comment related to what their comment was. And then you say, by the way, I sent you, check your DMs. I sent you a message. Okay. And then here's, we call this the 4 Fs. Super, super simple.
Yep.
Okay. So here's the 4 Fs. The first F is, how did you find me? And that's it. I just say, oh, Lewis, yeah, man, thanks for leaving a comment. How'd you find me? And they're going to say something, right? They're going to say, whatever, I saw your, I don't know, I stumbled across it organically or a hashtag I was following or whatever, right? And it's like, cool.
Right.
Then the second F.
The School of Greatness.
Yeah, a lot of people find you if you get on the School of Greatness, that's for sure. And I'll say, what was your favorite part? Right? So like, what was your favorite part of that video? So wherever they found you, I read your book, I saw this video, I read your blog, I saw you in an interview, I saw you speak somewhere, I saw your ad. I mean, if it's an ad, it's probably not the favorite part thing doesn't work. But usually, well, we said you're not running ads yet because you're just starting out.
Yeah.
So you just said, what was your favorite part? Or what's your favorite thing you've seen me teach, or what's your favorite thing to talk about, or even if you don't have that, you could say, what's your favorite thing to learn about, which leads to the third F, which is tell me about your future. Tell me about your future. So in other words, what are your goals? What are you working on? Like, before you try to sell somebody something, figure out what they care about.
Yes.
Spend time learning about them. Ask them, and this is what's so cool. And if there's one defining point about our sales philosophy, and I would say specifically AJ, so my wife, she's our CEO at Brand Builders Group. Her and I were business partners in our former venture, and she is the greatest salesperson that I've ever seen. And I mean, she outperformed 3-to-1 record-breaking salespeople in 100-year companies. And her and I have a defining philosophy about sales that has caused us to separate from other people and constructs, because we believe that you should always win the relationship, even if you lose the sale.
That's good.
You should always win the relationship, even if you lose the sale. And if you focus on making sales, you're going to feel pressure. If you focus on building relationships, man, it's going to be great. Here's the other thing. If you focus on making sales, there's wins and losses. If you focus on building relationships, there's only wins.
Yeah, the interesting point to that, the longer you've been adding value, whether it be online or offline or whatever, just in the world, without needing to win the sale, the longer you'll have the ability to have someone buy something from you later in your life.
Yeah,
I've had multiple people on webinars when I'll say, you know, how long have you known me for? I'll just ask people, how long have you known me for? And when did you first find out about me? And people will say, I watched your webinars back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, whatever it is.
Awesome.
And I'll always get a comment of someone saying, I've never bought anything until now. Like, I've always just been a fan. I've always gotten great value. I've always learned and applied it, but I've never bought anything until now, until it was the right time for me, it was the right season, until I was ready for this, or until something you said clicked with me and I finally was like, okay, yeah, now I'll buy. But if I was just like, leave my life if you're not going to buy something now, as opposed to saying, I'm here to add value. I want you to succeed whether you buy or not. But we can support you in this process from our application, from our service, whatever it might be, from our program. Yeah. We can support you if you're ready for it. And if not, then hey, we've got other great free content here for you as well. I think when you have that mindset, you win long term. You
win. I mean, you're such a great example of that, and you have to be that. And people don't. It's just a win lose. It's a combative. You know, most people do combative selling, and it should be collaborative. It should be you're discovering them. And this question, tell me about your future. What like your future goals, your future plans, your future dreams. What's so cool about that question is almost nobody ever asks you that question.
Very few.
Even when you meet a stranger, we always ask them, where are you from? Tell me about your past. What do you do? We ask them about their past and their present. Almost nobody ever asks us, what's your hopes for your future?
Yeah.
What are you working on? What's your dream?
Yeah.
That's so inspiring, exciting, uplifting. And by the way, it's a great way to create a context for a sale to happen.
Absolutely.
Because if they say something, gosh, I really want a blank. If their answer to that question is something that you have done, or you have a service for, or you know something about, right? Like when somebody tells me I want to be a speaker, I want to be an author, I'm like, oh my gosh, can I change your life? I mean, I spent my life learning exactly a roadmap that you can follow, like a step-by-step for that dream to come true. And
one of the things to add to that is if you can't sell them something, if they can't buy something from you or become a customer of yours through your products and services, I always try to ask people this question, like, what's your goal, what's your dream for this next 12 months or the next year or whatever. And if I can't help them in any way through my business, I always want to become the champion of an introduction to them who could help them.
Amen.
And that could be an affiliate partner or not. It could be, well, I don't do this, but Rory's team does this extremely well. Let me connect you and he can accelerate this goal for you. But I've had that champion introduction mindset of like, let me just introduce you to the person who I know can help you. And that always pays dividends in the future as well. You may not get the sale, you may not sell them something, but you help them accomplish their goal.
and they'll always be grateful.
And they trust you. And you know, more and more, this is interesting, even if you don't have a product to sell, you can earn referral fees.
Absolutely.
I mean, any of us can go to Amazon and sign up for a link to like have affiliate links for everything. And lots of people have, I mean, our whole business runs on referrals. We actually pay our clients to, if they introduce us to somebody and they sign up, we pay them.
Right.
And that's becoming really, really common. That's actually a great tool. Referral partner marketing, if it's not slimy, like you don't want it to be slimy. Again, another thing that's kind of similar in this vein is never compromise long-term reputation for short-term revenue. Don't compromise long-term reputation for short-term revenue.
Yes.
Just because I can increase my conversion rates by adding a widget that makes it look like there's a million people commenting even though there's not actually anybody there, you know, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying you should think about that. You should make a decision consciously to go play the long game.
Yes.
Just play the long game, like you're saying. Even if you don't, I mean, we refer people to stuff that we don't have referral partners for all the time.
Right.
How can I help? And this is, you know, this is the problem is people go, how can I make money? Don't ask how can I make money. Ask how can I help?
Yes.
I'm telling you, if you ask how can I help, you'll make a lot more money. If you ask how can I make money, you may end up doing some things that are compromised. It's not that money's bad. I mean, we love money. Like, money is good. We're fans of money. We want lots of money. We're good at making money. We're good at making other people lots of money. We enjoy money. But money is not the goal. The mission is the goal. Service is the goal. Helping the person is the goal. And you make money as a byproduct of that. It's solving a problem in the world.
Yes. And that's the third F, tell me about your future goals.
Okay, great. Yeah, so then fourth F is where the close happens, the conversion, the sale, is a free call to action. So free call to action, which is like, what's your next free step? The next free step is request a call. The next free step is check out this full-length training I did. The next free step is subscribe to my blog. What is the next free step? We always want to give them a free step, a free download, a free training, a free call. And then eventually you'll after that you make an offer. But whatever that free step is, typically it's going to be a free call or it's going to be a free training. So, you know,
a webinar, a training, a
webinar, or just an online
demo.
Yeah, a demo. Like, we do a lot of evergreen type stuff where it's just like, there's just this video out here. Check it out. It's a hidden video.
Right.
Here's a link to it, and they watch an hour-ish. Could be more, could be less, but let's call it an hour. And what do we do in that hour? We drop massive value bombs on them. We're delivering value. We're teach as much as you can for free in the time you have, and then they're going to want to take the next step if you do a good job.
People that I know who make millions just being someone who thinks like an engineer, who knows how to systematize things and create process, and they use that as a way to like invent strategies or processes that make them millions, right? So we all have talent, so we have to tap into that and really think about what is the value that I have to bring.